As someone who worked with Hoyoverse in the past, I can promise you this Hoyoverse contract is absolutely real, and it does prevent them from potentially being sponsored by other games like Wedding Wave. But honestly, it's not really that big of a deal. I debated for a long time if I really wanted to make this video, and if you don't know who I am, basically I used to be a Hoyoverse creator. I made a bunch of Genshin Impact video, but eventually I moved on, and now I moved on to Wedding Wave, and I'm in the middle of creating a bunch of really cool Wedding Wave video, so I feel like it doesn't really make sense to tie myself back to this Hoyoverse issues and drama. I honestly thought I shouldn't be making this video, but I keep finding myself surrounding the discussion around it, mostly because I'm actually pretty passionate about this specific topic. And making video about topic that I'm passionate about is what I do. So I figure at the end of the day, I will make this video talk about my thought anyway, especially because I feel like I'm in a slightly different position than everyone else to actually address this topic for once. For anyone who is coming in just now, I make Genshin Impact video for 2 years. That's the start of this channel, and I make Genshin Impact video since its release. If you have ever heard of the word Xiaoling, and usually there's a associated person with it, that person is me. When they say like Tenten, that is me. And being a quote-unquote Genshin creator, I worked with Hoyoverse here and there in some capacity, obviously. But I want to make a really important call is that I don't really like calling myself a content creator just because I mostly do this for a hobby. And I think this is a really good time to make a disclaimer is that I have never ever been a full-time content creator. Making content has never been the main source of my income. It's mostly just a hobby. And this is the reason why I prefer to make video I'm passionate about or just have more fun in doing, because this is a hobby for me. Eventually, I left Genshin Impact simply because the thing that I was chasing after for, the thing that I was looking for is just not there. The game is just not that fun to me, and so I stopped playing Genshin Impact and also stopped making content for Genshin Impact. And so I'm a quote-unquote EX Genshin Impact content creator, I guess. And now I'm pursuing Wedding Wave because Wedding Wave, I feel like, has the ability to provide what I'm looking for. I've always been a fan of trying to min-max a game, taking a game to its highest level, and I feel like Genshin Impact just weren't doing that for me anymore. And so I moved on to Wedding Wave, which is the new flashy game that have higher combat capability than Genshin Impact, but also because it is flashy and new, so there's more things to discover. And so I find myself having the joy of making video again, because it let me go through that same process of discovering new combat mechanics and then also showcasing that new combat mechanics, which is again why I make video in the first place. And I do this with almost every game I play. I have learned how to speedrun Nier Automata for the same reason, because I really like this game and I want to take it to the next level, so I'll start learning all the tech to speedrun for it. It is no secret I'm working with Crow Games, which is the creator for Wedding Wave now. I'm basically just taking all the things I have learned, all the mistakes that I've learned while making Genshin Impact video, and I'm kind of just moving them over, and that's been extremely fun for me. It's kind of like to see how far have I improved it since my first ever Genshin Impact video. But I would like to still think I'm at least neutral or on good terms with Hoyoverse, because, you know, if there's ever opportunity to be made for both sides, then they can always reach out, and if you're watching Hoyoverse, you know where to find me. In fact, I have said this multiple times in the past. I actually do think Genshin Impact is a better game than Wedding Wave right now, at least when you compare it to its second closed beta state. Obviously, it's gonna get a lot better when the game do come out, so it's not exactly a fair comparison, but Genshin Impact have 3 years of history, plus it have a lot more aspect that is a lot more appealing to, you know, casual, which is where the mass public is. Wedding Wave could be better and could be more fun if you're like me, who really enjoy min-maxing the game, and that's why I personally would play Wedding Wave over Genshin Impact. With that being said, since I don't have a direct tie to Hoyoverse anymore, I feel like that put me in a better position to talk about this certain topic compared to many other creators that I know, especially considering that I actually do know the truth. The problem is I have to actually present the truth and convince everyone else as well. And so from my experience, the truth is, Hoyoverse contract do exist. Now, I'm using this person's Gacha Smacks videos as a reference because he apparently showed the entire leaked contract, but one thing I have to clarify very importantly is that I'm not saying that this specific leaked contract is real. I'm saying that I'm aware of an existing Hoyo contract that with similar clause to this one, not necessarily this one on screen. In fact, I was pretty surprised when I actually see this one because it's not what I was expecting. But as far as I know, the content of such contract is basically very similar. It's just in the same line of basically this one where like Hoyoverse has the right to deny you any sponsorship offered by other competing company because of what they call a non-competing agreement. I know this is a pretty boring, lame answer. You know, I made this entire video just to say, yeah, it's real and no evidence. Yeah, but I'll be really honest, even if I presented you something, you weren't going to believe it anyway. The problem and the reason why I'm making this video is because people are just going to believe the narrative they want to believe. Nobody actually care about the truth. Someone presented the entire contract and you're just going to say, oh, it's fake. Someone just made that up. Yeah. At the end of the day, people just believe the narrative they want to believe. Nobody actually give a shit about any evidence. As soon as there's one sentence to say, I made this up, this is not real, people are just gonna jump on it and be like, oh, I knew it all the time, I knew it was all fake. Someone spent all of these effort crafting an entire contract, crafting an entire website just to make a joke, fool someone, right? And then of course there is on the other side where they're like, this user claimed it to be fake is also fake. So people are just gonna believe the narrative they want to believe. Nobody actually cares the truth. In fact, the truth itself doesn't even matter. Yeah, there's a contract, so what? Every single industry in this world has a contract. Do you know how Hololive works? They contract their VTuber and they only allow them to play certain game. They basically own the right to their channel, they own the right to every video they make. And so that's like the reason why Hololive can't play a certain game. It's because they're not authorized by Cover Corporation to. The same way that if you're contracted by Coca-Cola, you can't be seen drinking Pepsi. You can't get sponsored by Pepsi. That's how it works. If you're contracted by MiHoYo, you can't get sponsors by things they don't like Wedding Wave. That's just how a contract works. That's just a non-competing contract. It is very industry standard. I don't understand why people are so surprised by it and are spinning like so many narrative. This contract existed like since the beginning of time. In fact, I'll teach you guys how sponsors work, and this is using Sajaf77 video. The thing I want to point to is that this is a video sponsored by Samsung Galaxy, where they have to play the game on their Samsung Galaxy phone. And you know what they do? They tell you that, hey, you're not allowed to use any other product on your stream. You can't show like an iPhone on your stream. You can't have AirPod. You can only show Samsung product. If you look at my background, you see I got a bunch of characters figure there. I got Wedding Wave character figure, but then I got Genshin Impact character figure. In fact, if you look closely, you actually see a hentai figure right there. And I'll tell you what, sponsors have came in the past and they'll be like, oh, I don't like those things you have in the background. They're showing others game IP. I'm gonna have to have you remove them before we can, you know, sign you and something like that. And that's normal. That's like non-competing, you know, is very normal. And you know what, like people will say like, no company should have the power to control what game you can play, what game you can't play. Well, listen, if you don't like the contract, just don't sign it. That's how it works. If you don't sign it, you're not bound by these things. Only when you sign it, then you're bound by these things. And something you would know is that contracts are always customizable. You can always negotiate. You can go back and tell them, hey, I don't like this clause in the contract. This is not something that I can agree with. So can you please go and change it? And then if you don't come to a deal, you just don't sign it. It is that simple. There's no secret. There's no like Hoyoverse is trying to destroy Wedding Wave, something like that. There's no Hoyoverse is scared of Wedding Wave. It's an industry standard thing to have non-competing contract. And you know what Wedding Wave has? They have their exact same thing. If you come and look at the way they structure their creator program, Project Wave, you'll see that there's a incentive to sign long-term contract with video games. And I promise you that contract would be the exact same thing. It'd probably be like, oh, you can't ever get sponsors by Genshin Impact. Maybe like you can't ever show Genshin Impact on your stream ever. And if you agree with this term, you sign it, they give you like a cash incentive for it, you know? It's industry standard to have non-competing contract. I don't get why people are so shocked about it when it just come out. It has always been a thing. In fact, if you go ahead and watch Private Software's video that were conveniently uploaded 3 days ago, he was actually talking about non-competing contract in the gaming industry. There are a lot of cool Hoyoverse creator in their ecosystem right now, one that make really good video, and Hoyoverse just want to keep these creators in their ecosystem, so they're gonna give them a contract, hope that they sign it, and then they might or might not do it, right? So it's very, very normal. It's very industry standard. It really shouldn't come as a surprise. Now this do hurt Wedding Wave, of course. I'm not gonna deny that because they're preventing people from getting sponsors by Wedding Wave. But my point is, they're not doing this to purposely harm Wedding Wave, to like slam them in the ground before the game come out. It's a normal thing. I'm super passionate about Wedding Wave, and again, that's why I'm making all of these videos, so that I can give you guys the best guide when the game do eventually come out. But as much as I'm passionate about it, I would really hate to see our community fall down the same path as Hoyoverse Sims, which are anything our competition do, in this case Hoyoverse do, are against Wedding Wave on purpose. They're trying to slam us down before the game come out. No, it's not that big of a deal. In the same way, the other way around as well. All these Hoyoverse Sims can never accept the fact that, oh, Hoyoverse would do things like a non-competing contract. They can't possibly be trying to prevent other people from succeeding. But yeah, I was pretty passionate about this topic because it just really lame to see people on both sides spinning up higher narrative to attack the other community. And again, on both Genshin Impact side or on Wedding Ring side, it's like people making up false contract to make us look back. No, the contract is real, but it's also not that big of a deal. And I feel like if anyone else were to say it, you would never believe them. You know, I think Tenten made a couple of videos on this, and he's probably telling the truth 100% of the time. But nobody's gonna believe him because he's Tenten, even though again he's probably telling the truth the entire time. So I figured I'll make this video because I thought I was in a slightly better position to talk about these things. But honestly, if you weren't gonna believe it, you weren't gonna believe it in the first place. So. Obviously, it's a little risky for me to make a video like this right now, especially since I'm in the middle of trying to make the best Wedding Wave video possible, and then I come in and make a Hoyoverse drama video, which might not be the most pleasant to watch if you're new here. But I just feel like it's important to talk about because, again, I was pretty passionate about this topic. I'm really not a big fan of people just spinning this narrative on top to attack the other community in both ways. Plus, I don't think I'm burning bridges by making this video. All I'm talking about is that the existing of a non-competing agreement do exist, and it's industry standard. And again, if Hoyoverse present me with opportunity to work together in the futures, I'll probably take those opportunities as well. So again, you don't want to reach me, Hoyoverse, okay? Honestly, that's all I really gotta say. A whole lot of nothing. But if anything, I just would like to see our community, in this case, I like to refer to as Wedding Wave because that's the part I'm more involved in now, to kind of just stop bringing Hoyoverse into everything, you know, just play the game you have more fun of. And it's pretty annoying, especially in my comment, because a lot of people like to bring up Genshin Impact in the comment. And yeah, I thought you guys would know better, so hey, stop that.